sportsmanship by observing the rules of fair play. Any verbal, written, or physical conduct related to race, gender, ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, or religion shall not be tolerated, could subject the violator to ejection, and may result in penalties being assessed against your team. Each one is requested to take personal responsibility for keeping this competition at a high level of good sportsmanship.
And now, before we get to the lineups, would you please stand for the playing of our national anthem?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bulldog Report, our 2023 alumni broadcast. Lots of faces here as the Metuchen Bulldogs boys basketball team at 3-3 on the year host the Wardlaw-Hartridge Rams. I'm Eddie Kalegi, class of 2021, former founder of the MHS podcast. My sidekick for 4 years, Josh Hyman, is here. The original sports media member, class of 2018, Dylan Manfrey, is here, and current junior Ike Bush also in the booth. So this should be a very fun broadcast. Let's focus on the game first. We'll have a lot of look-backs throughout the broadcast, but Metuchen 3-3 on the year, coming off of Ike, a 22-point win over Timothy Christian, their best offensive performance of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Eddie. I mean, this has been an excellent start to the year for the Bulldogs, and definitely one that I can't wait to watch. Wardlaw-Hartridge taking on the Bulldogs in a game where the Metuchen really has to win at home in front of the fans. Going to be awesome to call this one with a few greats of MHS.
So it's a whiteout for Metuchen. Cone out there with Malama, Galligan, Santos, and Cardillo. The tip is up, and we are underway. The Bulldogs will have it first.
Metuchen this year, we've seen them all the time starting strong. Let's see if they could do that at this point here. You see Ben Santos with the ball and Danny Galligan up top.
And Ben Santos is going to try from three and banks it home. How about the little bank shot there from Ben Santos? And it's an early 3-0 lead for Metuchen.
Hey, talk about starting strong, Josh. What does that do for the Bulldogs early on, a three-pointer?
Well, it's really important to set the pace for this game and catch that defense off guard like that. And when you have three-point shooters that can do that, like Santos, and especially guys like Galligan, expect a lot of deep threes when they can capitalize off those defensive mistakes from Metuchen.
And another story today, Metuchen, not their head coach, their typical head coach. James Cardillo is out with an illness. So Ryan O'Toole, the assistant, you see him over there on the left at the bench. He is the acting head coach for this game. As Wardlaw-Hartridge has it, this is a Rams team 0-4 so far this season. They're scoring just 29 points a game and allowing 78, looking for a bounce back here. Little sidestep inside. That is Al-Hamad Bell as he swings it around to Kirkpatrick, their leading scorer last game. He tries to get through. He gets trapped and kicks it back. A minute gone, 3-point lead for Metuchen. Nice spin move inside through the double team. It's going to be a jump ball, and the possession arrow is pointed Wardlaw's way, so they'll keep it. So, of course, this is our alumni broadcast, guys, and we'll be talking about a lot of different things from these past few years. Dylan, I'll go to you first, since you're, I guess, the oldest one here. You're the senior member. Back in 2018, you're a graduate, and definitely a lot's changed over these past 5 years.
Lord, so much has changed in these last 5 years. I mean, just to be in a room with you guys in this media room, like, this is something that I never could have envisioned when I was, writing stories on my little sports blog, sitting at the baseball field here at Metuchen, and then at Myrtle, and it's just great to see.
Nice little drive there for Wardlaw. A missed shot, though. The attempt there from Coleman. Loose ball on the ground. It's going to go out of bounds. Last touch, Wardlaw, and Metuchen will take it. And, of course, for me and Josh, we called games for 4 years, and thanks to Ben Solaski and the rest of the media club that really helped to take our broadcast to the next level, and now we're sitting in a media room calling this game.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe. I remember when we had to call into an interesting radio type of company to get our broadcasts. I remember dodging loose basketballs with an iPhone tripod right here in this little corner, actually, and just to see the work that's been done to take this broadcasting to the next level is just so surreal, even as somebody who graduated pretty recently.
2 minutes gone, 3-0 game. Going up for the shot and missing is Harrison Kilpatrick, but he'll draw the foul and head to the line. Kilpatrick last season averaged 6 points a game, had 13 against South River the last game for Wardlaw. And Ike, of course, you're the present, we're the past, and let's talk a little about this Metuchen team. 3-3 so far this year. Of course, no more Dom Chiappa, but this team plays hard, and they've looked pretty good this year as Kilpatrick hits the first free throw.
Absolutely. I mean, last year we saw this team. I was talking about at the end of the year how promising this year's roster would look. Danny Galligan, a youngster, really could shoot the rock. Ben Santos, we saw flashes of greatness last year playing at center, and he could also shoot the basketball. So lots of young talent on this team. This year they're looking really promising early on. So like you guys, you guys were all at some point covering the Metuchen Bulldogs, but being the junior now, being able to cover them, it's awesome, and you guys totally left your mark in this one.
So it's been interesting for this team offensively this year. Just one game scoring over 60 points. That was the last one against Timothy Christian as Kilpatrick steps into a three. No good off the right side of the arc, and Max Cohn loses the attempted rebound. Kilpatrick gets it back. Euro steps down the lane, but he's going to be fouled. Santos was there, along with the second player. Looks like that was Galligan, and it's going to be another team foul against Metuchen, who already have 3 of those in the first 2.5 minutes. So
Fouls have been a little bit bad for Metuchen this year, and really last year too. That was their main concern, but they have dimmed it down a little bit in the more recent games Metuchen has. But we want to see Metuchen stay out of the foul game because bonuses really start to kill them. Last year really started to kill them at the end of the season, especially, and kind of bailed them out of some games at the end.
So Kilpatrick again at the line. 13 points against South River. Made his first 3 free throws, but not the fourth. And the rebound goes to Malamug. So Metuchen back the other way. 3-3 game here.
I have to say I like the zone that Wardlaw-Hartridge is displaying right now. A solid 2-3 zone, playing a little bit high. As you see the steal there, so you know their defense is working for them.
Nice quick outlet pass in front, and the finish there by Dylan Coleman. And Wardlaw-Hartridge 0-4 on the year, but they are out to a 5-3 lead here in Metuchen. First home game of 2023 for the Bulldogs. Santos has it knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Gerard Gregoire, a senior. And the timeout's been called, so the two teams will head over to their respective benches with 4:58 remaining in the first quarter. 5-3 lead for Wardlaw. So, as Dylan mentioned, Rams have looked pretty good so far. Here are some of their top players that we can look for tonight. Dylan Coleman is one. We've seen him active, but Josh, someone who's looked good so far, Harrison Kilpatrick, a senior. I mentioned 13 points last game, played a lot last year. This is a team that was really looking to form a new identity with some new players, but Kilpatrick has looked good so far, driving to the lane looking confident.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a team like this needs a guy like Kilpatrick up there who's not afraid to go charge that tough and tight Metuchen defense, but also is perfectly comfortable drawing the foul. And as you see, free throws like this are vital to a team's success, especially against a suffocating team such as Metuchen. And you can see Kilpatrick drained 3 of 4 so far, and without those important shots, Wardlaw would not be leading right now. And I think that's going to help their momentum coming into this game, especially when they need to break that 0-4 run.
Here's my question, though, for either Ike or Eddie. Wardlaw-Hartridge, you said winless on the year so far. Curious, who do you think their glue guy is for this team?
I really think it's got to be Kilpatrick at this point because they lost their glue guy from last year. That was Makai Huey, averaged over 20 points a game. So that one's going to be tipped out of bounds. It's going to go the other way. It's been a weird period for Wardlaw because they transitioned to GMC. They had a couple of good years. They won the Gold Division 3 years ago, and they had 3 straight years of 10-plus wins, but have gotten outclassed this season and are averaging losing games by 49 points. And those types of turnovers like that, a reason why, as Metuchen back the other way. It's going to go out to Santos in the left wing, drops it left elbow for Cardillo, swings out to the corner cone. 14-foot pull-up is no good, and the rebound taken by Wardlaw.
One thing I'll note about this Wardlaw defense is they're averaging almost 80 points a game at this point. I know they're 4 games in, but that's absolutely insane. At some points, allowing 86 points. This is not a defense that's necessarily, marked on opposing teams' calendars, but they're playing well right now.
Nice move, nice pass from Cone, but Malamug unable to finish. Metuchen, the three-pointer, the bank shot from Santos on the first possession, haven't made a shot since. It's still 5-3 Rams here halfway through the first quarter. Here's Kilpatrick setting it up. Deep three-pointer trying to show off the range. No good off the front of the rim. Marcus Malamug corrals the miss. Back the other way, the veteran Cone swinging to the left corner for Galligan, and that's going to be a kicked ball. And Ike, you follow this team more than the rest of us. Danny Galligan's had a good year. 13 three-point makes more than anybody on this team and had 16 against Timothy Christian.
Yeah, when you're talking about Danny Galligan, everyone brings up his three-point shooting ability. He's got a lot of range. As you see him, might take a shot there. He doesn't. But, he's definitely someone that has a lot of range on his three-point shot. But something that surprises me that I've seen this year is he's an excellent, excellent defender. Danny really knows how to defend the ball. And he plays against some of the top offensive players on the opposing team. So I really like what I'm seeing from just a sophomore in Danny Galligan.
Good zone defense here from Metuchen. Pull up from Gregoire. He can't bank it home. Max Cone goes up for the board. but it's going to go out of bounds and touch the line. It'll stay with Wardlaw. Cone, though, Dylan, one of the shortest guys on the court, but he gets in there for the boards and is always aggressive on the defensive side.
Yeah, I really liked his aggressiveness so far. I mean, I think overall Wardlaw-Hartridge as a whole is being aggressive today. You know, you see their 3-2 zone in the beginning of the game, those early minutes. You see them making Metuchen commit fouls. You know, they already have 4 so far today to their none. So I think Wardlaw-Hartridge is being aggressive, and it's absolutely working for them so far.
Galeota picks up a foul. Ben Galeota, a senior forward, 6 foot, 170 pounds. Here's Gregoire pulling it back to the left wing, setting up a play beyond the three-point line. Tries to get a screen, and Santos gets the takeaway. Metuchen on the fast break. Ben Santos to the cup. No good, but a foul's going to be called, and free throws coming here for Ben Santos, the junior. Now, we were just talking about this off the air. We all seem to know Santos's. Dylan was in a grade with a sister Santos. His brother James was in me and Josh's grade. And now Ben Santos here on this basketball team. And Ike, you know, he's provided a much-needed post presence for this team that does not have a lot of height this year.
Not at all. Last year they were a lot taller. They had guys like Kay Emsley. Even their shooter, Dom Schiappa, had a lot of height. So not as much height, but, you know, you see a lot of do-it-all kind of guys. You got Ben Galeota out there. He's definitely someone I want to note. Off the bench, he's definitely a good 6-man. He does great offense and great defense. Someone that I like to see for Metuchen that could add some height, but also plays good defense and could shoot the ball too.
So Santos hits both free throws. He had 11 last game, already 5 here. An opportunity for Wardlaw averted. There's a mid-range J that is good for Alhamed Bell, his first points. So make it a 7-5 Wardlaw lead here. Now a pull-up 3, way short there. Now a fast break back the other way for Wardlaw. All alone, Kilpatrick, but he loses it out of bounds. A tough mistake there as he had a wide-open layup chance, and Metuchen will take possession back. And for a Wardlaw team, Josh, that's only scoring 30 points a game this season, those are the types of mistakes you can't have.
No, absolutely, and I think that just comes down to nerves. You know, you get an incredible transition opportunity and you just kind of bobble it away. You have to stay cool on those, and you have to be able to convert those, because this is going to be a very close game, and this will come down to silly mistakes like that, whether they be converted or not.
Nice cut from Cardillo. His dad's not on the sidelines for this one, but the son making dad proud there with a nice move, and we're even at 7.
Here's the thing, Eddie. I actually really like the pace of play today. You know, those last couple possessions, you know, Wardlaw-Hartridge, you know, got a little bit ahead of itself, committing those couple turnovers on the transition game. But this game overall has a pretty solid pace to it. And, you know, Metuchen got out to the early lead, then Wardlaw-Hartridge gets it back, ties it up at 7 with 2:25 left in the opening quarter. You know, but I'm curious what your thoughts on the pace of play are today.
Yeah, this team plays fast, and I'm impressed with how they try. Sometimes they go a little too fast, and they make some mistakes with some of these younger players.
Like
yeah, but, you know, it's still a nice performance from them, and I like the way they run their offense, and it really helps a team that plays zone like Wardlaw, keeps them a little bit off balance, keeps them on their toes, and Metuchen, a great passing team. We see it here. Santos kicks it, left elbow. The jumper for Cone is pure. Max Cone with his first points and make it a 9-7 Metuchen lead.
I like this trap. We're seeing from Metuchen. Seems to be a 1-3-2. You know, high trap. Now you fall back to a man defense.
And you'll get a steal out of it. Now Metuchen on the fast break. Euro step from Galeota. He can't finish. Gets his own rebound, though. No foul called. Feeds it out to the left wing for Santos. Deep three-pointer. Galligan, no good off the back iron. And the rebound is taken by Wardlaw.
One thing that I also like to mention is that Metuchen has such a great presence of three-point shooters like Cone and like Gallagher that, you know, this is especially helpful against a team that likes to play a very wide stretch zone such as Wardlaw, where, you know, they hope to stretch their guys out to the three-point shot and kind of suffocate them and isolate them. But, you know, Metuchen has some pretty good counters to that type of play.
I will say, though, Wardlaw, their season high in points is 33, but they are looking great here to start this one. The nice finish on the other end. Now they get the takeaway, and they'll try to get the lead back. It's Gregoire who holds at the left wing. Kirkpatrick calling for it. Now Gregoire pulls up. Free throw line J. No good. Over the back foul is going to be called there against Daniel Zaidi, a sophomore. This is a team with a lot of juniors and seniors in the regular rotation. Zaidi, one of the few underclassmen that get significant minutes for Wardlaw. So some subs for both sides. Marcus Malamogue's back in for Metuchen. Santos takes the seat. And the Bulldogs bring it up. Final minute of play here in the first quarter. Even at 9. And a wild pass from Galligan there, but it got tipped by Kilpatrick, and they'll say it'll stay with the Bulldogs, who will inbound near side.
And I know this game's a tie game, but I like what I'm seeing from Metuchen, especially on offense. Their defense should tighten up against Wardlaw in the rest of this one, but their offense has looked very, very promising early on this one. Like you said, the pacing was so... it's nice. It's nice for the Bulldogs to be converting with their pace right now. They look really good right now. Just got to kind of fix some things up on defense and maybe a little on offense, and they'll find themselves, I think, in the front.
Another press, and it's going to result in a turnover. And since I go to Rutgers and I see Steve Peichel's defense, it reminds me a lot of that, because that defensive press that he plays, and it's helped them last night. Of course, they 2 nights ago they beat number 1 Purdue. That type of defense really sets up your offense, and Metuchen tries to capitalize after the forced turnover. Miss there from Galligan, loose ball, spin move, kicking it back for Cone. 20 seconds on the clock, and Metuchen will set up and potentially hold for a last shot. Cone gets space though from 3, drops it on the ground. It's loose. Kilpatrick's going to come up with it. Back the other way comes Wardlaw. 8 seconds. Kilpatrick again going to draw the contact, hoop in the harm as he gets that one to go. And he'll head to the line for one more.
Good move by Kilpatrick there. I mean, way to make the transition game work for you, especially with the clock running down. You'd think you'd hold it to one shot, but credit to him for making the most of the opportunity, getting one more.
And this defense from Wardlaw that allowed 25 assists against South River 2 nights ago. Playing much better. Missed free throw. Rebound by Gregoire. Gets tied up. Just throws it up. No good. Rebound taken the other way. Half-court heave isn't even going to happen, and that's going to end the first quarter of play. An exciting opening quarter here between Metuchen and Wardlaw, and it's the Rams out front here 11-9 through 1 quarter of play. Eddie Kalegi with Josh Hyman, Ike Bush, and Dylan Manfrey. And guys, you know, we can always take a walk down memory lane as well and think about some days of the past for Metuchen boys basketball. And I'll go back to your era, Dylan, 2015 to 2018. What are some of your best memories of the Metuchen team from back then?
Well, first of all, when I was, I believe, a freshman, you know, Guy Jensen just regained control of the Metuchen boys basketball team. Metuchen wasn't the best team in the GMC Blue Division, I believe they were in when I was here. But they also weren't the worst. They had some good players. They had Danny Flaherty for a couple years. They had Danny Russell, who was, I believe, starting on varsity. You know, I think our freshman or sophomore year. Riley Watkins, Dan Petto. You know, a lot of guys who I was friends with then. Hope they're doing well. But you know, that was a pretty solid team led by Guy Jensen. You know, I think they had a lot of depth on that team, and I think I would have liked to cover them a little bit more with the knowledge of, I guess, the game that I have now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm curious to see, like, you know, what that team would have been like, you know, now. But I think Metuchen has evolved a lot since then. And, yeah, seems to be under good hands.
So it will be Metuchen who will have it first. 11-9 is your score as we start the second quarter. We'll talk some more about Metuchen past basketball as we go forwards here in the second quarter. Ben Santos kicks it over. Now to the corner for Cone. Loose ball picked up by Santos. Now swinging back up top, and a steal. Another turnover for Metuchen, and driving the other way. Easy lay-in. 2 points for Alhamed Bell, who has 4 points, and it's now a 4-point lead for Wardlaw.
Despite that one little hiccup earlier in the game, I have to commend Wardlaw for their transition. They've been very fast, very precise, and very aggressive, especially in defense, to turn over those steals. And I think the best defense in basketball is one that can easily get you into an offensive situation that'll get you easy points, like what Wardlaw is doing currently.
Now the answer there for Metuchen from their tallest player, Janu Dreher, and that's a good segue, Josh, to our era. Now, when we were freshmen and sophomores, Ethan Leibovitz led the way in the team, but then Jai Dreher started dunking when we were seniors, and that year was so fun to cover. Of course, 2 seasons ago, because of the COVID pandemic, we couldn't have fans at the games, so that is a big reason we got the technological improvements here. We got the grant from the MEF to be able to call these games, and it was definitely much more than how we used to call them just on Twitter. And, you know, we got to witness a great team, and sadly there was not a GMC tournament that year. There was the Pod Championship, which they won, but that was such a fun year to cover, and Jai Dreher, Luke Schleck, a lot of people from our grade, a big reason why.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a small town like ours, it's kind of rare you get so many physically dominant players such as Schleck, such as Piavoso, such as Dreher on one team, and I think that's kind of the reason why they led to a pod. And it's kind of fun to think about a what-if situation, like how far would that team have gone in a regular tournament year. But yeah, it was definitely a treat to be able to watch and cover those players when we were here.
Missed 3 there for Cone. It's still a 2-point lead here for Wardlaw. Kilpatrick pulls up, tries to make it 4. He can't hit. Strong board from Santos. And back the other way for Metuchen with 6:10 remaining here in the second quarter. Cone kicks up top Santos. Now Cone bounces down low. Jonu Dreher working inside, putting it up and getting the finish. 4 quick points off the bench for Jonu Dreher, 6'4", and now we're tied at 13.
Eddie, I'll say this. The door just opened in our media room, and I heard an eruption of fans. The fan support has been something that's just grown. Last year there wasn't that many fans. They were actually limited until middle of the year, but when they came, there weren't too many. Right now, the team loves their Bulldogs, and Metuchen looks good to start the year. See if they can go to 4-3 with a win here.
And it really reminds me of that Leibovitz-Dreher era a couple of years ago when tons of fans would come to the games, and now we're starting to see that again. And a lot of people happy with the program that James Cardillo has started to build here after replacing Guy Jensen. But, Josh, another memory that popped in my mind. Remember senior night for us when they had those cool cutouts of us set up across court and we kept zooming into your face?
Yeah, I remember that. They actually didn't tell us about that until we... No, they didn't tell us about that at all. We just kind of panned the camera over when we were setting up the broadcast and we realized that there were pictures of us right near the athletes. It was a really nice thing they did for us, but I do wish they picked a bit of a better picture for me, not going to lie.
Yeah, still though, shout out our athletic director, John Cathcart, our former principal, Bruce Paragallo, for setting up that cool event to be honored with the players. That was really fun on senior night. But anyway, we are tied at 13, 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Here's a quick drive down the middle, throwing it up, no good. Rebound by Jonu Dreher. It's going to be Metuchen the other way. Nice spin move by Danny Kuhn. He gets trapped and now gets it free ahead to Galligan. Now Dreher has it stripped. Cardillo corrals it in the corner and swings back up top. Nice little pass, nice move, Cardillo. A foul is going to be called. In fact, no, it's a travel, as Cardillo walked with it before he shot, and that's going to be another Metuchen turnover. Now, Ike, you took over for me and Josh last year as we head to a timeout, tied at 13, 4:41 remaining in the first half. And the big story for this team was Dom Schiappa, who was fantastic. 23 points. Me and Josh were here when he got to 1,000 points last season. And Dom was just so explosive on all ends and really helped carry this team, who had a pretty solid year with a new coach last season.
Oh, man, he left his mark. Getting that 1,000-point threshold, past that 1,000-point threshold is just such an amazing thing. I really, every game covering him was so awesome, being able to watch him play, and now he's playing basketball for college, which is really remarkable. But Dom Schiappa left his mark, and he left a program that he was really the king of, really, and now there's not really a king, so to say. There's 2 captains, one's a junior, one's a senior, and every player, you could say, contributes in their own way. So that's what I like about this Metuchen offense and defense. There's not exactly a star, but there's a lot of really, really gritty players that are going to get you some wins.
Well, we knew this would be a defensive battle, maybe not to this extent. Still tied at 13 here. Kick back now. Gregoire decides against the 3. Bell pulls up mid-range, no good. Jonu Dreher strong board. He flips it to Kuhn, and back the other way for M-Town. Kuhn swings out, left wing for Cardillo. Cardillo drives through the double, floats it up, leaves it short. Rebound taken in and taken the other way. That was Ethan Pierre. Pierre's first playing time of this one for the Rams. Now with it, Bell, three-pointer, Kilpatrick. Almost got a wedgie stuck up there, and a foul as Cardillo went for the rebound. He got hit from the side by Coleman. And that's going to be Metuchen ball. 5 team fouls against Metuchen make it 4 now for the Rams as Galeota gets subbed back in. And it should be a fun one here as we continue with 3:50 to remaining in the first half. And just a reminder, we'll have halftime coverage. 5th member of our team, Henry Sia, will be joining us with Dylan Manfrey to recap the first half and set up the second half. You can stay tuned for that for our Bulldog Report halftime report. Ben Santos pulls up mid-range and gets it to go through the defense. Santos now with 7, and the lead is to 2 for Metuchen. And Josh, Bulldogs have scored 6 straight points here in the second quarter.
Yeah, I felt like they maybe were a bit stumbling at the beginning, not really sure how to handle that really aggressive zone defense from Wardlaw-Hartridge, but it seems that they're trying to crack that nut, so to speak, and I think they're really starting to find their form, find their shape, and perform how we expected this Bulldog offense to perform.
That was a big block by Malamug. Now Santos ISO game left corner. He'll kick it back to Kuhn. Now Santos drives along the baseline, gets it up and in. Ben Santos does it again, and the Bulldogs now lead it by 4.
One thing I like about this Metuchen offense is they are not afraid to just kind of reset the offense and take their time. A lot of kickbacks out to the outside of the rim, to the outside of the paint, and just kind of work their way in multiple times to see what they can do. And that's a great sign of good coaching and high basketball IQ when they can take that time, be patient, and be confident in their three-point shooters as well to get the points where they can.
Looked like Gregoire at first stepped out of bounds, but he got shoved at the end of that play, so it's going to stay with Wardlaw. And now swinging it out to the corner, it's Coleman. Coleman nearly loses it, drops Santos, and it's another block for Marcus Malamug. How about 2 in 2 minutes? And Marcus Malamug making a defensive statement here, number 13. And, it's hard when you don't have a ton of size, Dylan, to get lots of blocks and stuff like that, but we see Metuchen aggressive on defense and making these plays.
Yeah, I think Metuchen's been really in this game from the start. You talked about it earlier. They went on a small little run, and basketball is a game of runs. So I think that they're using their size to their advantage and keeping that pace of play fast, and it's worked to their advantage. Right now they have a 1-point lead over Wardlaw-Hartridge with just about 2 minutes left. So I think it's worked for them so far. So
Kilpatrick silenced the crowd, but Santos gets them right back on their feet. Three-pointer.
It's exactly what you were just talking about. Little bit of a game of runs, and their size works for him.
Ben Santos showing up here on the whiteout night. He and John Udrerov combined for all 11 second quarter Metuchen points. Coleman flips one up, and drawing the charge is Marcus Malamug. How about these last 2 minutes for Marcus Malamug, the senior, averaging 13 and 6 this season, and he's gotten 2 big blocks, and Ike there, great job drawing the charge.
Excellent job there by Marcus. He got under, and he knew exactly what he's doing, I think, by standing in the way there. So good job. Metuchen back on offense. See if they can get some points on this drive.
Probably the most fluid we've seen Metuchen so far this game. They've had those little bit of runs, and they've extended them throughout the second quarter.
And now Malamug on the offensive end making things happen. The putback, and Metuchen leads by 6 with $1:33 to go in the first half. 22-16, biggest lead for either side. Kilpatrick's been the spark so far for Wardlaw. He swings it out to Bell, who has 2 buckets of his own. Gregoire's been quiet. He floats one high in the air, and he can't get it to go. Good defense there from a pair of Bulldogs. Back the other way, Cone inside. Malamug kicks out. Corner 3, Cone, no. And it's going to be a foul, it looks like, against Galeota. And that was nearly a play that would have made the gym erupt here in the Brainy Borough. Good pass, but Cone just couldn't finish.
No doubt. That was a really, really nice attempt by Cone. He knew what he was doing. If he made that shot, the place would have erupted. Like it did for that Ben Santos 3, which I, by the way, want to talk about a little bit more. That really shifted the momentum in this one. You see Metuchen fans on their feet when they score almost every single time since then. Really, really looking good after that. The fans behind their back, they want to see Metuchen pull this out near the end of the half here.
So the offensive foul against Galeota is going to put Metuchen over the limit. So a 1-and-1 here for Gregoire. 5 points, 1 of 2 free throws shooting last game, and he'll hit the front end here. Gregoire last season averaged 2 points a game, 3 boards. Wardlaw has forced Metuchen to have a couple of stars in this game, namely Santos and Malamug. Last time out, Metuchen, their 22-point win over Timothy Christian. 10 different players scored, a season high, and 3 in double figures, also a season high. He'll miss the second. Ben Santos the board.
Nice job, Ben. That's a really good job there by Ben Santos. Get scrappy. That's something we didn't see too much of him last year. Not exactly the most aggressive player, but when it comes to, once in a while, he'll get involved, and that's really what I like to see from Ben Santos. He's getting a lot more aggressive under the board and defensively this year for Santos. Really, really good stuff. Good sight to see for the Bulldogs.
And no Dom or Liam Benderly, so you need a post presence, and he's definitely improving there, him and Malamug. Sidestep, swing around, now to the left corner. It's Galligan for 3 money. Danny Galligan from downtown, and the Bulldogs lead it by 8 with 45 seconds remaining in the first half.
It's always great when you can make a defense pay like that by ignoring a guy on the three-point line. And that ability to shoot 3 points with such confidence is another great layer to this already very menacing, very, very aggressive Metuchen offense.
Circus pass. Player still down for Wardlaw. Metuchen, meanwhile, in transition. Easy layup for Max Cohn, and the lead is 10. And now they'll blow the whistle dead with 21 seconds on the clock. A Wardlaw player at the very left corner of our screen is still down. Didn't see 100% of who it was. It might be Gregoire, who made an impressive pass. He was falling out of bounds and threw it underneath the backboard to get to the corner for Bell, but got hit and landed awkwardly out of bounds, and the trainers attending to him here with 21 seconds remaining in the first half, with the Bulldogs leading the Rams 27-17. Next up for Metuchen, they'll be playing on the road Friday against Middlesex. They do not have a home game until the 13th against Carteret. They are kind of backloaded with their home schedule. Haven't played a lot in the Brainy Borough to start the season, but have a lot of home games late January and February. And the next game for Wardlaw is Friday at home against Spotswood. Of course, Wardlaw, they're in the blue division now. First season that's been the case. They were in the gold the last few years and won it in 2019-20. But we'll get Dylan and Henry in here for halftime. But right now, with 21 seconds left, Josh, this second quarter, great turnaround for Metuchen, 18 points as Gregoire gets up now with the trainers. What have you liked best from them?
From Metuchen, I really like their just dynamic offense. It's been great so far. We've seen how they like to kick it around the outside a lot of times, put it in, put it back out. And, they have a few different options when they do that, which is so great. They can either decide to just keep passing until they find a gap, or they can shoot it out wide to Galligan or Santos to take those long threes. And I think when you have that, it is kind of demoralizing for defense because you don't know what's going to happen next. And uncertainty and unpredictability is what Metuchen is thriving on right now, and Wardlaw just can't seem to get a hold on it so far.
So Gregoire walking under his own power, takes a seat over there to get checked out with 20 seconds. Kilpatrick likely going to hold for a final shot here before halftime. 10 seconds, Kilpatrick dribbling, trying an ISO on Cone. Now he gets a move, gets a screen from the right, sidesteps to the right corner, 3 seconds, double team, throws up a prayer, and that's an air ball, and that is how the first half will end. Well, a quiet first quarter for Metuchen, who are without their head coach, but they bounce back with 18 in the second, and now lead at 27-17 over Wardlaw. We'll take a break. On the other side, Dylan Manfrey and Henry Sia will have the halftime report. Eddie Kalegi, Ike Bush, Josh Hyman, the MHS alumni broadcast here on the Bulldog Report.
All right, guys, welcome to the halftime report. This is Henry Sia here. I'm here with Dylan, an alumni from Metuchen, 2015 to 2018. He's the one who started it all here. And boy, what a game we've witnessed so far.
Yeah, I think Metuchen's been playing great. They have a little bit, have a 10-point lead right now. You see a good pace of play, you see good shooting, you see good zone defense. So I'm curious how Henry, this is a game of runs. What have you seen from this team so far?
I've seen a lot of growth throughout the game. In the first quarter, both offenses were pretty stagnant. It was tied at 9, and then it kind of continued that way until Metuchen pulled through with, it started off with 6 straight points, and it ended up being 12, and I don't know. All that matters, Metuchen has a 27-17 lead. Metuchen really stepping it up with their shooting, their scoring. They were just able to just stop that offense of Wellsbury and just continue with their onslaught of shooting, and they've just been playing amazing.
Give a lot of credit to Metuchen's pace of play. I think they have some great shooters, and they're also doing good in their 3-point game, which has also aided them in getting this lead. So Metuchen's overall been doing pretty well so far for themselves. I think if their defense matches it, they'll be able to hold this lead in the second half. Wardlaw-Hartridge displayed a good, solid 2-3 zone. In the beginning of it, they opened out into a press as well. So if Metuchen can incorporate some of that into its own game, I think they'll be just fine going into the second half.
Yeah, definitely. Metuchen definitely going to the locker room with a lot of momentum. That recent just burst has really carried them along, and hopefully they'll, like you said, continue that in the second half, maybe change their defense a bit. And yeah, like you said, very good shooting by Metuchen, especially in the second half. Ben Santis, Danny Galligan, Max Cohn, just to name a few, all have just been shooting threes like it's nothing, drawing fouls, getting those free throws. So just amazing job by Metuchen being able to pull through with this early lead.
Eddie talks about it too. They're doing all of this without the most height on the court, and that's a testament to their depth and their ability to make the most about what they have. But Eddie, Josh, Ike, myself, we'll have a lot more in the second half. So back to you guys.
We're back here on the Bulldog Report. 27-17 Metuchen leads. We are back here with our 2023 MHS alumni broadcast. Eddie Kalegi, Josh Hyman, class of 2021. Dylan Manfrey, class of 2018. Ike Bush, current junior here. We'll talk a little bit about Metuchen media history in a second, but let's take a quick look at where the standings sit right now in the blue division. Metuchen at 3-3, a couple of good wins, a couple of tough losses. South River with Jeremy Grosby have been dominant at 7-0. But Ike, what do you see as the ceiling for this Metuchen team right now?
I mean, this division does not look completely loaded. Obviously, South River really, really good. Middlesex always really a tough team to play. Spotswood and Metuchen always run pretty even. Every single year, it seems, in football and basketball and really every sport, these two teams are always going at it. So I expect them to be in that 3-4 range. They're better than Island Kennedy for sure. They beat them a few days ago. Timothy Christian, I think they're better than. They beat them as well. Wardlaw-Hartridge, the team they're playing right now, definitely better than them, I think, which is why I think that they should be performing better here in this one. But Metuchen, I think, in the 3-4 range, definitely can find themselves, in some tight ones against South River and Middlesex. They can compete at a higher level even than they are right now.
Can I just say, while we have this graphic up, guys, this GMC Blue Division is looking very, very similar to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, as Eddie has seen my Twitter, and I'm sure you have as well, because I love that little chaotic conference. We have 5 teams within a game or two of each other. We have Metuchen and Isla Kennedy tied at 3-3, 4-5. Timothy Christian 2-4, and Spotswood at 4-2 as the third seed right now. Do you know how easily that can flip? This is so Mac right now. This is so Mac.
And that makes every game so important. And right now, Metuchen trying to hang on and win this one up by 10. But since this is our alumni broadcast, and for those who are curious about the media lore at Metuchen High School, where we've gotten to where we're at, why don't we tell a little story? So I'll go to Dylan first. I know some of your story where you were originally on the track team here, and then you ended up going to sports coverage. So maybe for the audience, you could tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was on Metuchen's track and cross country teams up until my junior year of high school, and after that I really wanted to find what I wanted to really do in college. I got injured, so I had to quit, but then I started covering the sports teams here. I started up a little sports blog called irocksports.wordpress.com.
Yes.
And I started covering the teams, and I also tracked how many games I covered. And it was interesting because I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really have any journalism experience or anything like that. Certainly none of what is here right now. And I did that for my junior year and my senior year. And I remember covering so many great teams, from the baseball team's run to, a sectional appearance in back-to-back years. Ultimately they didn't end up winning, but it was great to cover them. I always point to the Governor Livingston game when Metuchen won 8-3 as a game that was really impactful for me in my high school career. And then you came along.
Yes, and that's where I can pick it up. By the way, second half getting started. 27-17, Metuchen leads, Wardlaw with the ball. But yeah, so I had a long time interest in sports broadcasting, and I came to Metuchen High School, and I found out what you had been doing, Dylan, and I wanted to take it a step further and start my own show. And with the advice of my parents, I ended up meeting with former Vice Principal Miss Paredes, and we ended up starting the Metuchen High School podcast. And I got my first member in Josh Hyman, who stuck with me the whole way. And it was such a fun experience to get to host a show, interview some people, highlight school sports, school news, have the superintendent on, people from town. We even had the president of NASCAR that one time. That was fun. And it started to grow, and then I always wanted to call games. And then I realized I could find a way to call a game even with the limited setup I had back then. And
emphasis on the limited.
Yes, emphasis on the limited. And we did call football, basketball, baseball, and it was so fun. And Josh, lots of great experiences doing the podcast with you. Dylan joined us to talk some sports. Sarah Terracina, Joe Stibick, Julia Hirschfield, Itai Geller. We had such a great crew for those 4 years, as the shot is good for Cone.
My story maybe not as cool as you guys. I'm just a freshman at Metuchen High School. At the end of my freshman year, Eddie was holding a media club meeting.
Well, yeah, that's, you know what, we got to fit someone else in here, and that is Ben Solaski, who's sitting in the back. Now, okay, so I was a junior, and I've been doing the podcast, and then I got introduced to Ben, who was a freshman, and was more into the technical side of things, and had some great ideas about how to kind of expand things with the Bulldog Report as Cone misses the 3 rebound by Wardlaw, and he had his own idea for a media club that would emphasize video production, because podcast was all audio, and with that we ended up taking things to the next level, specifically with the sports broadcasts, and it led to what you see right now today, and that proved to be especially important during COVID, as the 3 is made by Wardlaw to make it 29-20. So basically, March of 2020, COVID struck, and the podcast we could no longer record in person. Thankfully, Mr. Kegel, shout out Mr. Kegel, introduced me to this website called Zoom, and I discovered that you could record Zooms. And I was like, hey, we can do the podcast that way. And it worked out great for the rest of junior year and senior year. And then in the meantime, of course, with sports, you couldn't have games with fans in person, and of course parents and students, they want to watch the games. So thankfully, thanks to the Metuchen Education Foundation, Ben was able to help secure that grant along with Mr. Cathcart and get some of this equipment that we have now and begin calling these games. And during that basketball season, Josh, which was so fun, you know, we called 23 games in 39 days, including 2 pod championships and that senior night we were talking about.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool run we had with the podcast, and I remember we had some very, very high viewership. I remember we got to 1,000 viewers at one point. We had scouts in there. The live chat was going crazy. That was definitely something to remember, and I think that just kind of shows how far we came. You know, we were this little, you know, this kind of like little oddity of the school. Like, oh, they have a podcast, that's pretty cool. And then it just grew into something that just became such an integral part to school life and part of these athletics teams. And I think nowadays, when you hear about Metuchen sports, it's kind of hard to divorce the podcast and the media club from the teams itself. And I think that's something that we can really take pride in as just a team, as alumni, and as current members.
Yeah, for sure. And the media club's still going strong. The podcast, sadly, a bit defunct at this point, but it was really a fun run for 4 years.
Have a media club now is like
yeah,
crazy.
Not every high school has that.
Well, yeah, not every high school has it, but certainly when I was here, you know, covering games, like I certainly did not envision like this. You know, this is comparable to what I've seen, you know, in college, even like, you know, to see the interest in, you know, sports media, like, you know, on the rise at like my alma maters, like, it's really nice. And, you know, it's just really nice to see, you know, because again, it's not something I ever would have envisioned was possible. You know, I knew it would continue with Eddie after I left, but like I never thought like this was what was in store.
Yeah,
and it's great. It's great.
And it's a similar perspective for me, because like I knew it was going to continue. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and that's kind of where I can feed in here after this Metuchen possession, as Galeota gets it down low for Malamug. Shot up, no good. Fighting for the ball. It's going to go out of bounds. It's going to go Wardlaw's way, who trailed by 6 with 4:27 remaining in the third quarter. But Ike, you know, things have changed. Now we got a new room. We were doing this in Cathcart's office for a couple of years, but now we are here in the reconverted media room. So could you maybe talk about like where the media program has gone here in these last 2 years, since you're the lone soldier of the 4 of us who has been here for these last 2 years?
Well, this is just unbelievable, by the way, just to be able to call games and, you know, cover things in this media room. My 0 period is called multimedia journalism, which is run by Ben Solaski, and the you know, our advisor is the athletic director John Cathcart, and it's really an awesome experience. We come in, we work hard each day, just you know, maybe work on graphics for the games, or we work on, you know, film something or interview. Just really awesome. And Ben, next year he'll be graduating, so I'll be taking over the media club, but you know, he really has left his mark here. Just awesome. I still remember, as I was saying before, my freshman year, it was 2020, and I was, you know, just kind of getting used to things. It was the end of my freshman year at that point. I really have been, you know, I've been calling games, my own sports games from my basement. I would turn off the announcers on Madden and MLB The Show, and I'd call the games, and I really had an interest in it. So I heard that there would be a meeting for Media Club and the podcast, and I kind of got involved on Zoom, and I really, from there on, just kind of took off. The next year, I called some games with Eddie. He introduced me to, got me familiar with all the ropes and stuff like that. As you see, a three-pointer, a big one for Metuchen. They extend their lead, 3 more points, but just really awesome being a part of this program at this point, being led by guys like Eddie and Josh and Dylan, who have paved the way for such an awesome program.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the way it's gone. Dylan started with the written end. I started with the broadcast end, and then Ben took it to the next level in terms of AV, and now you have Ike and Henry, and hopefully some more that'll continue to pave the path here at Metuchen High School. But we'll focus back on the game here. Been a little back and forth here as a three-pointer from Bell is an air ball, and it'll be Metuchen ball. Before that, Danny Kuhn hit a big three-pointer. Bulldogs now leading at 34-23 with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter. And Josh, this is a Metuchen team that doesn't score a ton. They have only scored 60 once in 6 games this season, but they're good at hitting timely shots. And John Udre and Danny Kuhn both with them in this quarter.
Absolutely. We talked about that before with their comfort and their capability of hitting those three-pointers. It just keeps their offense just so unpredictable, and that's what you really need to do to kind of break these tough defenses like Wardlaw's putting up right now.
Now here's a no-look pass from Kilpatrick that goes down to Bell. Now dropping down Gregoire, who's okay after his injury in the second quarter, back in the game here. Wardlaw has only scored a max of 33 in a game this season, but their defense has kept them in this game, forcing a lot of Metuchen turnovers. Bulldogs without their head coach, James Cardillo, who's out with an illness. Ryan O'Toole, the assistant coach in the game. Circus shot Kilpatrick, no good. He wanted a foul. Back the other way come the Bulldogs with numbers. Kuhn pulls up left elbow, and no good. We shout out Dylan Manfrey one more time, as he's got to head out now, but it was great having him back, class of 2018. And Dylan, we really appreciated you having you back. First time in a while, and maybe we can do this next year.
Oh, I'd love to do it next year. I can't remember the last time I was at the high school before tonight, so really nice to have be back here. It's really just amazing. I've said it so many times, and I'll say it again, probably on Twitter later too. It's just amazing to see that this is, growing into what it is. It just warms my heart truly, and I'm so proud of everybody, for what they've done, and it's just amazing to see. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm almost like borderline emotional, like to see all this, and to know I've played like a small part in it. So yeah.
Well, Dylan,
great.
Best of luck continuing at Maryland. We'll be rivals tomorrow for the men's game.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Just gotta say also, respect your mid-majors, support women's sports, and Mac Hoops stand up.
Sounds good. All right, so timeout's been called. 57 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Metuchen leading at 36-23. It'll be Eddie Kalegi here with Josh Hyman, Ike Bush the rest of the way, calling the rest of this action in our alumni broadcast, and spent this third quarter kind of taking a walk down memory lane from the past few years, and it's amazing, how every person that comes in here seems to just add another step on the ladder, whether it was Dylan starting it off, me and Josh, me with the podcast, Josh hopping on, us calling the games, and then Ben taking it to the next level with the video, and then now Ike and Henry calling the games today. So it's really fun to see. But once again, we'll focus back on the game at hand as Metuchen tries to get above 500. This was a game that was tied after the first quarter. Metuchen fell down by 4 early in the second, but had a huge second quarter led by Ben Santos and John Udre, and now with under a minute to play in the third, it's 36-23, as again they'll press. Kilpatrick gets through, sidestep, throws it up, and he draws the foul. And Josh, I mentioned it earlier, Harrison Kilpatrick, the senior, so explosive, able to cut, and just these great moves to get himself extra chances at the free throw line.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the player to watch for this Wardlaw-Hartridge team, scoring 10 points, 3 from the line as he goes back again. He's been pretty comfortable at that spot for now. And yeah, I think you need a player like Kilpatrick to kind of lead this kind of chaotic chaotic game right now, and I think he's been proven time and time again that he deserves to be out there, and he deserves every single opportunity that this Wardlaw-Hartridge team has been feeding him so far.
Kilpatrick's been good from the line, but he misses the second, so it's a lead of 12 for the Bulldogs with 44 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Kuhn gets in, loses the ball, picks up his dribble, gets it out up top to Galligan, and passes for Malamug, but nowhere close. It'll go out of bounds at the Metuchen bench. Wardlaw possession. So they'll try to cut it to 10 or maybe single digits here. So bringing it up here, taking it up across the timeline. It's Kilpatrick. Gives it to Coleman. Two Coleman brothers on this team. This is the one who gets the playing time. Kilpatrick's got it up top. Dylan Coleman, a junior, he had 2 points against South River, a game where Wardlaw got dominated. And this is the surprise. They have lost by at least 38 points in each of their first 4 games this season, including 3 at home, but are playing their best game of the year so far, keeping it close. 5 seconds now. Continuing to pass it around. It's going to be a deep try at the horn for Kilpatrick, and it hits that netting up there, and that's going to end the third quarter. That is a memory of Metuchen basketball, because you never go a season without seeing a shot that goes off the netting up top.
Every once in a while you'll see that. But actually, with the new referendum, which is, by the way, coming around the corner, pretty much fixing every, I said, quote-unquote problem that Metuchen has with their high school. The ceilings, that will have 2 different gyms now. Just everything's going to change. The gym's being redone, so Metuchen's, the style of Metuchen basketball will completely change, but I'll be out of the high school at that point. So will Henry, too. So, but yeah, that's something to look forward to. Kind of unrelated, but definitely a good game at this point. 36-24. If you're just joining us, shout out Ben Gans if you're watching this one. Metuchen's up by 12. And, Eddie, I want us to talk about something that you said before. How this defense, the way they were playing, kind of reminds you of a Steve Peichel-esque defense. And definitely Rutgers has a good defense.
Steve Peichel pounding nails.
Exactly.
Shout out John Rothstein.
It grows.
It's spreads. It's spreads.
Right.
Well, we actually have a hype flag now on the radio station. We got made for $20.
John Rothstein. John Rothstein
yes,
himself, by the way.
He said it spreads.
You have a flag of it now?
Yeah, we got a hype flag for the radio station at Rutgers.
Awesome.
$20.
But it's definitely easy to have a good defense. You have someone like Caleb McConnell leading everybody defensively, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year last year. But Metuchen doesn't have a Caleb McConnell. In fact, they don't even have like a Ron Harper Jr. from last year. They don't have any stars, which I was saying before, a lot of good guys. And this is what we've seen today, spreading around the points. Everyone seems like they're getting involved in their own way, and that's what I really, really admire about this team.
Final 8 minutes here on a Wednesday night in Metuchen. Warm January day, first home game of 2023. Bell loses it out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds, but they're going to say Metuchen did after. It was secured by Galligan, so Bell never got a foot on the line. It was stolen, and Galligan then, his right heel touched the line, so it's going to stay with Wardlaw, who get a good break there with 7:48 remaining in the fourth quarter. And, of course, since Ike brought up Rutgers, might as well shout it out. If you want to listen tomorrow, Rutgers plays Maryland. You can listen to me and my friend Dylan Allen calling the game from Jersey Mike's Arena on 88.7 FM and at WRSU.org. Had to plug, of course.
As much as I love calling games on the Bulldog Report, nothing compares. It's really awesome that you're playing. That you're going to be on. What is it? 88.7.
Yes, it is.
That's really awesome, guys. Make sure to tune in for A tomorrow.
Yes, and Jersey Mike's Arena. That place, that is quite the atmosphere, especially as a student too. When they're playing a Big Ten home game, and it's going to be rocking tomorrow. So
absolutely,
definitely want to follow along.
After a win like that against Purdue too. I mean, that place is going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I can definitely share my experiences there. I went to a regular season home game against Iowa last year, and I thought it was very impressive. I go to a bit of a smaller Division I mid-major school, so
Joe Flacco went there. That's okay.
Joe Flacco, Delaware legend, but I just think
Biden,
just having that experience is great for an athletic program as a student, and as a student in media broadcast. I gotta say, Eddie, you are very lucky to go to such a school that has that great environment and has that amazing fan support and incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Highly recommend for anybody listening interested in journalism or media studies. Rutgers is a great school and a great stepping stone for you. Anyway, Metuchen with it, leading by 11. 1 of 2 from the line for Kilpatrick. That's been the case the last 3 times he's gone to the charity stripe. He's hit one and missed the other. Malamug double-teamed at the left elbow. Santa swings out. Right wing, Galligan, 4-3. He got it!
You had to know he was going to make that shot. With the fans on their feet, Galligan comes up big again.
Galligan having such a strong performance. Another press here, but they'll get it across midcourt. Now swinging to the corner, it's Coleman, back out left wing for Gregoire, who was hobbled at the end of the second quarter but has played the entire second half, so okay after taking that spill in the final seconds of the first half. Coleman at the left wing, 11 on 11 as Max Cohn watches. Now it's Kilpatrick right wing, sidestep, Euro step inside, it's good.
What a play.
What a play by Kilpatrick, who's had an excellent game, make it 12 points for him, nearly half of the offense for the Rams, 39-27, 6:25 to go in the fourth quarter as Gregoire kicked it and will stay with Metuchen near side.
That's some incredible movement there by Kilpatrick. That is a very advanced, very experienced move that you gotta really practice and work hard to pull off. It's, Wardlaw-Hartridge is very lucky to have a guy like him on this team leading the charge against Metuchen.
Cone to Santos, swinging out left wing. Galligan, can he hit again? No. But the rebound taken in by Metuchen, that was Tom Kasani in for the first time, and he's going to be fouled. And it'll stay with Metuchen. It's a foul on the floor. Neither team close to the bonus. 2 team fouls for Metuchen, 3 for Wardlaw. Cone bounces to the corner. Driving, pull up, Galligan. Got it through the contact.
That's excellent. That's, again, excellent where he's really, really looking good here. It's Danny Galligan just doing everything. He's really getting the playing time and therefore leaving his mark. As I keep saying, Danny Galligan looking astonishing late here in the fourth quarter.
And Galligan, this is a team that you mentioned, Ike, doesn't have that Chiappa or that Dreher or that star. And Galligan is young, a sophomore, didn't play at the varsity level last year. Now he's jumped up and making an immediate impact. I'll head to the bench here as Jason Woods checks in for just the second time this season. But Galligan, an excellent game, scored the last 5. He's got 8 points, averaging 9 a game this season, and has been a big reason for Metuchen's 3 wins as they look for a fourth. That pass is high for Coleman, and it's stolen by Max Cohn. Cut to the middle, layup for Woods, and he's fouled. And they'll have a chance at the line coming up.
Another thing I've noticed, I do have to disagree slightly with the point that they don't have any stars. I think it's just that we were used to seeing such a massive, physically imposing, close to the rim team when we were here. That has changed a little bit with this Metuchen team. Their common goal now is to just kick it to the outside and get to those very prolific three-point shooters that they have in Galligan, that they have in Santos. So I think those are definitely their stars for this Metuchen team. I just think we're seeing a bit of a different philosophy to this offense here now that those giants are gone.
You could be right about that. You probably are, but the thing that makes it makes me think that there's not exactly one brighter star than the rest. It's just that you look at the stat sheet. I mean, there's just the points are spread around.
10 players scored last game.
Exactly. I mean, that's unbelievable. And you see Jason Woods add points right now. I know they're in a game. It's a little bit of a blowout at this point. They're putting in their bench guys, but it feels like everybody's contributing, and that's what I really, really like about this team. So yeah, maybe there is a star, but it's not as blatantly obvious, and that's kind of a plus rather than a minus, I think, for the Bulldogs.
That was a crazy play there. Malamug lost it. Coleman had it. He tried to roll away from him to get away from the tie-up, but by doing that, that's 2 steps, so it's a travel on Wardlaw. It'll stay with Metuchen in this 16-point lead for the Bulldogs. And, yeah, I don't know if it's... I could also have a bias here, because the fact that I feel like every time I look back at a grade that's 2 or 3 years younger than me, I'm like, they're so short. And
that was you just 2 years ago.
I know. So I don't know if it's just that Jai and Luke and Dom were taller necessarily, or just that I'm just used. Yeah,
to be fair.
Jai Dreher was actually humongous.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as extreme as I might be viewing it though as.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I'm also used to seeing Cliff Amore all the time, so
I think it's very rare at the high school level to see just 3 massive guys on the court like that at the same time. So yeah, I think our perception of what high school basketball players will look like is a little warped. But I think these guys are fine physically. I think they're just very good skill players, and I think because of that, the philosophy around this team has changed a little since we were here.
It's a nice feed from Cone, looking for Cardillo. Cone leads the team with 3 assists a game. And it's going to be a foul against the Bulldogs.
Something we haven't seen much of. I know I talked earlier about how they want to stay out of the foul game in this one, and really they have. It's been excellent for the Metuchen defense all around. They've shaped up since the first quarter. That's something I kind of circled as one of the things I wanted to see them do at the end of the first quarter.
Final 5 minutes here of action. Metuchen up 43-27, looking to get to 4-3 on the year and 3-1 in Blue Division play, which would be a great start. Metuchen in recent years have struggled getting out of the gates well, but with this young team, have looked pretty solid, and these are the types of games you have to win. And Wardlaw having their best defensive effort of the year. They were giving up 78 a game this season through the first 4. They've only allowed 43, but again, the offensive numbers besides Kilpatrick just not there. Gregoire's got it at the top, guarded by Cone. That's a size mismatch. They'll drop it down low for the outlet pass, and they're going to call a travel. That one's going to be against Daniel Zaidi, the sophomore who had 6 points against South River on Monday, and Metuchen will take possession back. So the Bulldogs bringing it up. Now you can also remember they are 3-3, but if you take out that holiday tournament, they are 3-1 this season. If Santos tries to bank one home, he hit a bank 3 on the first possession of the game. Can't hit that one. Rebound Gregoire with 4:10 to go here from M-Town. As there's a steal, Woods with the little roll, and he gets it ahead. What a pass inside. Santos can't hit. Cardillo cleans up the mess.
There you go. That's your big man, if anybody. There's Cody Cardillo, the captain junior, coming up big there for the Bulldogs. Plays football too. And this season we saw a lot of big-time tackles for Cardillo. Kind of the same thing here. Comes up at the right place, the right time, and lays it in.
4 points now for Cardillo. Metuchen with 8 different scorers. The only one in double figures is Santos, who has 12, as Gregoire drops this off for Bell. Wardlaw's season high is 33 points. They're seeing if maybe they could get that, but that's not going to help. Cardillo leaps in the passing lane. Good pass ahead, but a bit too far, as Cone was trying to lead Woods. It'll go out of bounds and go back to the Rams. This is a good time now to take a look at the crew that makes it possible. Ben Selaski, Chris DeVizio, Ike Bush, Amy Kleiner, Richard Ho, Leo Wetnick, Henry Sia, the current members of the Bulldog Report and the Metuchen Media Club, and we shout out them for their hard work. This has not been the easiest stream to put together with 4 people on air and with our on-camera halftime, but a shout out to all of them who are here tonight helping to put this together. As there's a spin by Gregoire, gets it over to Kilpatrick. Galligan talking to Ryan O'Toole, who, if he hangs on as the interim, will get his first high school varsity coaching win, as there's a miss taken by Cone the other way. Cone ahead, nice pass, it's going to be Woods who lays it up and in. Career high, 4 points now for Jason Woods, the sophomore, and it's a 20-point lead now for the Bulldogs. As with it is Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick has it. Coleman, little 3-man weave at the top near the Bulldog logo with 2.5 to go. Sidestep, there's a roller, there's a steal. It's Woods again, all alone, laying it up and in. It's the Jason Woods fourth quarter takeover. He's got 6 and Metuchen leads by 22.
Nice steal, fast break there. Jason Woods looking electric off the bench. Metuchen has a heck of a lot of bench depth on their roster. Good stuff from Woods.
Woods now the 3rd leading scorer in this game, as 8 Metuchen Bulldogs have scored. They had 10 score in their 22-point victory at Timothy Christian on Monday. They go on the road to face off with Middlesex in a rivalry game Friday, as it's going to be a foul on the floor against Dreher. Actually, it's going to be against Ben Santos, as Gregoire was driving in, and the foul was before the shot. That's his second. It looks like O'Toole will empty the bench a bit. Galeota will check in. Sahil Gujrathi is in for the first time. And Kasani will check in for the second time. Here with 1:55 to go. And we will get a stoppage and a timeout. And it's a good time to take a look at our Bulldog Report player of the game. Danny Galligan clutched up when it mattered most. Santos was good in the second quarter, but Galligan, that big 3, that 2-pointer after that, Galligan on the day has had a nice performance. 8 points following up the 16 against Timothy Christian, and Josh has played well when it's mattered most for Metuchen to really put their foot on the gas pedal.
Absolutely, and you read the stats that he has all these 3-point shots, and it might be a little hard to believe, especially for a guy as a sophomore. But just to see that in action is something else, and he's had a really, really impressive performance so far for the Bulldogs.
Leading scorer, Ben Santos with 12 points for Metuchen. Kilpatrick has 12 on the other side for Wardlaw. Also a shout-out Marcus Malamug. Part of the big run in the second quarter was his defense. He had 2 blocks in a span of 3 possessions and had a big finish inside after that. So it's been a full team effort here for Metuchen as they try to get above the 500 mark. And as we said, and as Dylan alluded to earlier, this is such a stacked division that any win in divisional play matters, even if it's against the bottom team. And it's 49-27 with 1:55 to go. Here's a kick. Kilpatrick throws up a three. No good off the front of the rim. Back the other way comes Metuchen. It's Sahil Gujrathi working it in. Bounce pass stolen. Was looking for Galeota. Now losing the ball is Kilpatrick. It's still loose. And we'll see who touched it last. I believe it's Metuchen. And it will indeed stay with Wardlaw with 1:40 to go. Gregoire in for Kilpatrick. Gregoire, 4-3. No good off the front of the rim. Rebound by Kasani. There's a quick bounce pass, but another steal. Metuchen a little sloppy with it at the end as they got to their bench, and Gregoire's going to be fouled. Dreher wanted the travel. He's not going to get it. And it's going to be 2 free throws here for Gerard Gregoire, who is a senior. 2 points a game, 3 rebounds a game, 5 points, 1 of 2 from the free throw line this season. And that's the second foul against Kasani. So he'll get set for the free throw. First one up and good. It's the second point of the game. Both have come from the free throw line. Another substitution for Metuchen as, again, they bring in some of their bench. That's Matt Smith, a freshman, making his second appearance. Smith is the only active freshman on this roster, so getting to the varsity level as a freshman, that shows that he's probably going to have a piece on this team going forwards. I remember players like Dom Schiappa, Jai Dreher playing as freshmen, and now Matt Smith getting some playing time. He'll bring it up the court. Wardlaw within 20. Driving in is Galeota. He's going to lose it out of bounds. Another substitution for Metuchen. I do not have this number 5 on my boards. I don't know if
that's Cam. Cam is, they call him Big Cam. Cam coming in for the second time this season. In a 20-point game. Big game, not a big game for him, but definitely someone, that's definitely has a lot of, has a big future for the Bulldogs, and, you see him coming out here in the last final minute or so.
Coleman has it blocked. 2 big defensive plays in a row by Galeota, and Metuchen can slow it down. Final minute of play. We'll see if they can hit 50. They've scored 50 in all but one game this season, but they've been between 50 and 64 times. Smith holds at the top. Gujrathi decides against a deep 3. Now Smith backs up to the logo. 36 seconds for the Bulldogs. Gujrathi gets a lane, gets a shot. No good. Offensive board for Cam. Cam's going to dribble it out to the left wing. Under 30 seconds to go. Nice pass down low. Matt Smith. Gujrathi gets a look, and he traveled. Picked up his dribble and moved here with 23 seconds on the clock. Wardlaw will get it, so Metuchen will move to 4-3 on the season, 3-1 in Blue Division play. Next home game in 9 days. Wardlaw will drop to 0-5. They play Spotswood on Friday. Somehow no fouls were called on those collisions, and it's going to be a travel against Coleman, and Metuchen can essentially dribble it out here with 13 seconds. Matt Smith will take it up. He'll take it across the Bulldog logo at midcourt, and on whiteout night for Metuchen, they will get it done in convincing fashion. A second quarter for the ages to pull away, and Metuchen is 4-3 in the 2022-23 season, winning their first home contest of the new year. 49-29 the final score. Josh, just a great performance from the Bulldogs all around.
Yeah, absolutely. That Bulldog defense really, really got it together, especially from impressive plays early on by Marcus Malamug, and then later in the game by Danny Galligan. It's one thing to just go down and score, have a bucket party like Metuchen did, and it's another thing to just clean up on defense. Just an absolute great game overall for this Bulldog squad, and that gives them some really, really important momentum for their next game.
Let's quick look now at the updated Blue Division standings. The win launches Metuchen into sole possession of 4th. They are 4-3 right now. South River with Jeremy Grosby, maybe one of the top players in the conference. They are 7-0. And Metuchen, next game, Ike, Friday at Middlesex. A prime opportunity for a huge road win to try to move into the top tier in this division.
Could you imagine that, winning that one on the road in Middlesex? That would be unbelievable for Metuchen, and it's not like they can't do it. They've won 2 straight now. Metuchen looks really good. I think they can get that win, but on the road, it's going to be tough against Middlesex. See if they can pull that out. This has been an awesome stream, Eddie. Really love what I've seen. You guys coming back, being able to run this stream with you guys. Josh, it's been awesome again. Eddie, really, really a good time.
Yeah, great to be back. One last thing, we'll take a quick look at the scoring stats for Metuchen for those curious. Ben Santos led the way with 12. Danny Galligan had 8. 7 for Max Cohn, 6 for Jason Woods, 5 for Danny Kuhn, 2 for Marcus Malamug, and 4 for Cody Cardillo. But that will wrap up our alumni broadcast. It was a great time, as Ike mentioned, for us to all get back together. 3 generations of Metuchen High School media back here to call a game. We'll definitely do this again next year, but for everyone behind the scenes, for Dylan Manfrey, who was with us earlier, Henry Sia, who hosted our halftime, and Ike Bush and Josh Hyman, I'm Eddie Kalegi signing off of the Bulldog Report. We hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday night.